Well, I was on WJOX in Birmingham earlier today, and one of the questions posed to me while I was on there is a kind of a curious question to be sure. Uh, and that is this: does Kirby Smart deserve the benefit of the doubt? Now, the question wasn't, it sort of seemed to be framed, does he deserve the benefit of the doubt as it relates to, kind of winning another national championship? And but it was a general question, and it's a good one to talk about just for a little bit of time. Does Kirby Smart deserve the benefit of the doubt? This right here, this national championship moment that he had, that is going to earn him plenty of benefits of the doubt. And I think also too, it depends on what you're talking about with the benefit of the doubt. And that's what I talked about on WJOX. If you want to check out DAWGSTRUCTION, make sure you're picking up the link below. A lot of people want to see the inside of it. But the thing about Kirby is, yes, he deserves the benefit of the doubt, but that doesn't mean they're going to repeat as national champions. I mean, that's asking a lot, generally speaking, these days. We haven't had about once a decade we see programs that win back-to-back national championships. It's just not common. In the early part of the 20 teens, we had it with Alabama. In the 2000s, we had it with USC. In the 90s, we had it with Nebraska. In the 80s, I don't know that it happened. Off the top of my head, I can't recall. I know Alabama won it back to back in the 70s at some stage, but it's just not a consistent occurrence. And I'm not suggesting that WJOX was saying, hey, the benefit of the doubt is whether you win the national championship or not. Georgia can win the national championship. That's for sure. I mean, I don't think it's probable, but I don't know that anybody is probable at this second. So, I'm gonna have to sneeze. We do these live, so there's not a lot of editing. Um, when you start talking about the benefit of the doubt, winning a national championship solves a lot of the criticisms and questions for head coaches. I mean, I am old enough to remember when Dabo Swinney was not a very good head coach, which if you were around for the 2010s, you remember those. I mean, before he got Deshaun Watson, he lost a lot of big games. And before Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. And since then, he's done okay. But since then, it's only been one season. And the results were, I would say, mixed for DJ Uiagalelei. For Kirby, the only other people that are out there have won national championships are Dabo, Mac Jones, Mac Brown at Carolina. He's not close to winning one. Obviously, Nick with Mac Jones, it was his most recent national championship, and then Jimbo at Texas A&M. You know, Kirby has as many national championships as Jimbo. He has as many national championships as Steve Spurrier. Um, Benefit of the doubt, I think it's a situational thing. In terms of handling quarterbacks, I think most people would really ding Kirby on that, but I mean, to me, the guy that he went with won the national championship. I mean, it's not the same as what Tom Brady and the Patriots. Well, it is the same. The person that you thought would win it for you was not the guy that wound up winning it. And the question, Tom Stetson Bennett ain't Tom Brady, right? But he's not just some walk on either. I mean, he accomplished more than Baker Mayfield did in terms of team by winning the national championship. So does Kirby deserve the benefit of the doubt? He deserves the benefit of the doubt on these things right here. Recruiting, no question. I mean, I'm not sure there's a better person in terms of recruiting in college football. I would say college athletics, generally speaking, but I'm a little bit ignorant on the basketball side of things. I think you can make the comparison to Cal at Kentucky, but Cal won his national championship quicker. And basketball and football, they're just not the same thing in terms of recruiting. I mean, you're recruiting 25 guys, signing 25 guys. You got to develop 25 guys, and most of them are going to be there 3 years or more. In basketball, you're talking about you could sign a guy and he's gone in 9 months. So it's not the same. But in terms of the benefit of the doubt for recruiting, no question, it's not close. In terms of benefit of the doubt for running a program, I mean, I'm not sure who runs a better program than Kirby. Nick, um, I think Clemson has slid backwards. Ohio State for sure. It's show me time at Texas A&M. I mean, it may as well be Missouri and show me state. So I think those three that I've talked about a lot are the ones that currently are in the best program conversation. The question too becomes, can Lincoln Riley add himself to this list at SC? Because if USC is powerful and big, that's a real thing. I mean, those of us who are long enough to remember it, Texas being a real thing, I've seen that once in my life. At USC, I've seen it multiple times. So, but Texas has a lot of power too. Benefit of the doubt with little stuff. I mean, there's stuff Kirby gets wrong. He just does. And I think his handling of um, suspensions has basically been correct when it terms talk about the big stuff. Yeah, he's been right about that. But there's been stuff that he's gotten wrong too. I mean, there's times when he, in press briefings or press conferences, he just doesn't. I mean, he's better than that, or he should be. I think that those are important things to those of us who do this for a living, and to the fans who the only way they really speak, that coaches speak to the fans, is through the media. So that part is sometimes unnecessary, but it's not a common thing. I wouldn't say it just depends on his mood. I played for a coach who was very passionate and could be ornery at times, but it doesn't make it right. Um, but I got to say that's pretty nitpicky. I mean, there's if you're at Georgia, uh, there's for instance, and this is a lot of people, it's going to go over their heads, but I don't know how much fundraising Kirby does. That would, to me, be a very, very important part of his package at Georgia. How much um, time is he committed to doing that? I legitimately do not know the answer. But part of his fundraising is exposure for the university. And twice he's gotten to the national championship game, winning it once. Obviously, winning Rose Bowl, Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl, those are all 10 plus million people audiences. And in some cases, those were 27 or 28 million audiences. And nothing gets more exposure than for a university than athletics. So that's a big deal. Does he deserve the benefit of the doubt to his detractors? He's never going to get the benefit of the doubt. I mean, there's a section of Alabama fans that simply just don't recognize the job he's done at Georgia, or maybe they're whistling in the graveyard. I don't know. I think there used to be like that at Tech. Their smart ass play by play guy had some choice things to say over time. You look like an idiot now, bro. That's just all I'm going to tell you. I don't know you. I don't care. I'm just saying, the unnecessary hate, or hate is the wrong word, the unnecessary chirping from people at other places is not recognizing the superb job that people do at particular schools. I mean, is there a better coach in college football history than Nick Saban? I don't think so. What Dabo Swinney's done at Clemson is remarkable, and it remains to be seen if he can continue it. But that's more national championships than I thought they'd win in my lifetime. I'll tell you that, and most of my Clemson friends would say the same thing. Is who's done a good job? Ryan Day has done a really good job at Ohio State. I mean, I don't think acknowledging these, relative facts is a bad thing. I mean, you want to be great. And in order to do that, you have to defeat other people who are great or greater. And that's just all there is to it. So, the benefit of the doubt to winning yet another national championship. I mean, here's how this is going to go. If Georgia doesn't win the national championship in 2022, there will be questions. They just won the national championship in 2021, and there are questions. It's just the world we live in. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being suspicious or skeptical of things. By nature, particularly people who do what I do, should be skeptical of things. But I don't know beyond Nick who has run a better program, certainly since 2017. I mean, 2016 first year, okay, but if we're holding Kirby's first year, you got to talk about Nick's, which was a 7-6 season. I don't know what Dabo's was, but it wasn't good. He was irrelevant. So Ryan Day, I think in his first season was very successful. I think you should, and these things should be celebrated. Um, I will be curious to see the future at USC for sure with Lincoln Riley, the future at Ohio State. Both those places have not won national championships under their current head coaches. Both those head coaches are, to me, Kirby level guys. But Ryan Day's got to get it done. Jimbo, he's just got to, turn it on it out at A&M, and it's an extremely challenging situation in the West as it stands right this second. So I thought it was a curious conversation about what do you mean does he deserve the benefit of the doubt? I think if you won the national championship and it's within months of that happening, or maybe even a year or two, yeah. Ed Orgeron, maybe this is the way he was thinking about it. Ed Orgeron, to me, never deserved the benefit of the doubt. That was a one-hit wonder with Joe Burrow, but for both years. If you look at LSU before that, they really struggled to compete with the high level teams. It just didn't happen. But in 18 and 19, when Burrow was there, yeah. But you had a Hall of Fame college football player, and perhaps the best team of all time, playing under your tutelage. Does he get credit for that? Yeah, he gets some, but he's gotten fired not even 2 years later. I mean, it was a disaster at LSU. Uh, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. Does and circumstances change too, and they can change for Kirby. If he goes out there and makes bad decisions, there are plenty of critics of Kirby that are correct as it relates to there have been time management issues, particularly earlier in his career. Um, just I think but to me, they're handling Georgia. They are handling NIL pretty flawlessly, insofar as I can tell. The people around the university have been ahead of the game with that. And I can tell you for a fact, at least the one organization I know, they did not deal with Georgia in like Georgia said, "Oh, we set this up." That's not at all what happened. Um, so I just we're at a new point in college football. And right now, we're at a point where certain schools can't compete. And thanks for whoever just ordered DAWGSTRUCTION just now. They're not able to compete at the way Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State can. And we're going to see and right now, Kirby is exactly positioned the way you want to be, but college football changes. And, Dabo is struggling with that right now. Will Kirby struggle in the future of college football? Will Nick? I don't know, and that's the question. But those two guys specifically, and I think to me Ryan Day, they don't. There's not a lot of benefit of the doubt that they're missing out there. And just right underneath that trio, Jimbo, although Jimbo is not at the same level as Dabo, okay, but Jimbo, Dabo, I think Lincoln Riley, these are all guys, and I would get a better list. There's been so much change. To some degree, I would have said Dan Mullen. I got to tell you, I think Florida really. We're going to see how that works out. I don't know. I don't know. It might work out well, but I think with Dan Mullen, they pulled the trigger real quick. It was not working, but there was no mechanism to make it work, and that was the part that was so crazy to me, is how fast Florida pulled the trigger there and got Dan Mullen out of there. What's going on down there? That's another question for another time. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.